Many ask why the government, our own government, would modify the weather in a way that does immense harm to our own citizens and to the life support systems of the planet as a whole. And without doing any investigative research whatsoever, many choose to completely deny that climate modification could be real and ongoing, with many potential objectives and agendas being carried out in what can only be considered programs of weather and biological warfare. The U.S. government and the U.S. military have been fully involved in not just weather modification, but hurricane modification for at least 70 years. Project Cirrus was underway 70 years ago. With only 80 kilograms of dry ice, profound manipulation of a hurricane was achieved. How much more effectively can the weather makers now manipulate hurricanes when they have the air power to dump hundreds of tons of patented materials into such storms? Project Storm Fury, which was historically a part of the ongoing and expanding U.S. government and U.S. military hurricane manipulation programs. Aerosol dispersions over the oceans are now constant and blatant. The vast majority of populations have absolutely no idea that the ongoing global climate engineering Manhattan Project is tearing the climate and life support systems of the planet apart. The toxic heavy metal and chemical aerosols are also contaminating our breathable air column and the entire biosphere as a whole. Radio frequency microwave transmissions manipulate the electrically conductive heavy metal nanoparticulates that have been seeded into the atmosphere in the cloud formations. The manipulation of these particulates in turn manipulates air masses and thus storm formations. The climate engineers have been aggressively suppressing and or redirecting Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico hurricanes for over 12 years. The weather makers have long since achieved the ability to decide what develops, what doesn't, and what direction it travels, and who gave the military-industrial complex the right to play God with Earth's climate and life support systems. Welcome to our geoengineered world. While the world continues to free fall into abrupt climate shift, geoengineered cooldowns with highly toxic chemical ice nucleating elements have helped the world's largest military to keep the most population-dense regions in the U.S. from feeling the full impact of what's unfolding. This is the psychological aspect of climate engineering, keeping populations confused, divided, and in many cases pacified in regard to the true state of the unfolding global climate and environmental collapse until the last possible moment. The paradox is this: climate engineering is the single greatest climate disrupting and environmentally destructive assault ever launched by the human race. All available climate data proves the climate engineers possess the processes and resources to suppress and or redirect hurricanes. If the weather makers didn't want Hurricane Harvey to happen how it did or where it did, it would not have happened. If the weather makers wanted to completely suppress Hurricane Irma, to diminish or dissipate it, or to steer it out to sea, they could. Again, available historical data proves this fact. Disasters like that serve many agendas for the global elite. In the case of Harvey, there were and are oil prices and production to consider, potentially increased economic activity due to the need to fix the disaster, the creation of mass distraction while the power structure pushes toward World War III, the potential disabling of populations, thus rendering them unable to stand up to government tyranny, the opportunity to move the military into place in preparation for already unfolding and inevitable societal collapse. But again, our biosphere is imploding. We're already in a runaway climate shift scenario heading toward a mathematically certain near-term global omnicide if we remain on the current course. The climate engineers will do anything they can and everything they can at any cost to the web of life to hide this fact from populations. In their attempt to postpone public panic for as long as possible, and thus to keep the military-industrial complex in full control, it would seem the power structure is willing to exterminate life on Earth.
Thanks to a system of satellites, natural disasters have become a thing of the past. We can control our weather.
So satellite has a bad comm, that happens.
Not a satellite, all of them.
This wasn't a malfunction. It was intentional.
There's potential for catastrophic weather events on a global scale. A geostorm.